Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, I'm going to jump right into the defense's opening, and if I knew it was like 3 minutes or 4 minutes, I would have just tossed it at the end of the other video. But at the same time, I think it needs to stand on its own. What her one defense attorney has to say, I mean, I'm like, what? So let me get right to it. So if you haven't heard it, here is the defense's opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't intend to speak nearly as long as Mr. Dean did, because frankly, this whole case is about rumor, gossip, speculation, and innuendo, and ultimately, the state's bold conclusions about what they say happened but can't prove. Unquestionably, this is an emotional case. I know that. I have 5 children, 4 grandchildren. So I understand how emotional this can be. But this case can't be decided based on emotions. It has to be decided on facts and evidence presented in this courtroom. It can't be determined by emotions or their rumors and their gossip and their conclusions. And in the end, what you will determine is that's exactly the foundation of the state's claims. A bunch of conclusions, bunch of declarations, unsupported by actual evidence. These declarations about she did this at 1 o'clock, she killed Quinton, she drove here, and then all of that are their conclusions, what they have decided the evidence shows. But what is important in a trial is this witness stand, where witnesses testify and evidence is presented. It's not what some lawyer says. It's not what the state declares the evidence to be, and that includes this discussion about the statements. Mr. Dean has his ideas of what those statements represent, but that's your job. And it's not to simply rely on the state's conclusions about what they mean. The state has a conclusion. The core conclusion is that Leilani Simon murdered her child. The evidence will simply not support that bold conclusion. That is why, after we've heard all the evidence and all the argument, the evidence will lead you to one place, and that is a finding with respect to murder and concealing the death of another of not guilty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. What? She didn't kill her child and throw him in a dumpster, and he ended up in a landfill? And it's all speculation and rumor? What the hell, y'all? I mean, wow. Just wow. And he was right. His opening statement is much shorter than the state's, but he didn't say anything. And he didn't give any idea of what happened to Quinton. Granted, the defense doesn't have to prove anything. It's the state. But it's all rumor, innuendo, and she didn't murder Quinton? Wow. If that's what they're standing on, it's pretty weak to me. I don't know about you guys, but that is a weak opening statement. Again, I don't know how the jury thought about it, but they have plenty of evidence against Leilani. All right, so I'm going to add on here the witnesses from day one. This is Sergeant Bobby Stewart from Chatham County PD.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Sergeant Bobby Stewart.
And is Stewart S-T-E-W-A-R-T?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And what do you do for a living, sir?
I am a sergeant with the Chatham County Police Department.
Hence the uniform?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you been a police officer?
Probably about 34 and a half years.
And how long have you been a sergeant with the police department specifically?
Quite a while. Can't tell you exactly how many years, but it's been quite a while.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the morning of October 5th, 2022, okay?
Yes, sir.
Were you working that day?
Yes, sir, I was.
And what were you doing on that day?
Patrolling Chatham County.
Okay. Any particular precinct or area?
I was in the West Chatham precinct of Chatham Parkway.
And were you the sergeant over all the patrol officers assigned to the West Chatham precinct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how many of them were there at that point? Patrol officers on the west side?
Should be a total 7 or 8 that day.
Okay. Now, at some point on that day, on the morning of October 5th, did you respond to a call for service originating from 535 Buckhalter Road?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the nature of the call that brought you out there?
Missing child.
And when you arrived, did you make contact with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Where did you make contact with the defendant?
Just as I walked through the gate, they were walking towards the gate.
And who's they?
I saw a female, the lady sitting here with the glasses.
Okay, the witnesses identified the defendant. And what other, aside from police officers, what other people were on scene at the time that you arrived?
Myself. You talking about officers, sir?
No, other than police officers, what other people were on
The
scene?
people that I saw the young lady there. I saw a male subject, which I later found out was her boyfriend. And there was a little small child. And there was one more person standing back behind them.
Okay.
I think that was her brother.
Her brother?
I think it was her brother.
Okay. And was there also a person there who was identified to you as a babysitter?
Yes, sir.
And her daughter?
Yes, sir. She walked up behind me
Okay.
when I got there and walked around the front.
Okay. Anyone else there that you remember who was there on arrival?
No.
Okay. Now, how did your initial contact with the defendant play out in the driveway right inside the gate there?
When I got there, she was walking towards me. She got to me and I asked her, "What's going on?"
And what did she say?
She told me that a child was missing.
Did she say when she had become aware of that?
Earlier that morning, if I'm not mistaken, I think she said around 6, I think, or something like that, earlier when she had got up.
Okay. When 6 was for when she got up or when the child might have gone missing? Do you remember?
I think she said when she woke up, she was looking for the child. Child wasn't there.
Okay. And did she say anything to you about the door, the front door?
Yes, sir. She said when she woke up, the door was open, the front door to the house.
And the child was gone?
And the child was gone.
Okay. While you were there talking to her about this, did she cast suspicion on anybody who might have been responsible for the disappearance of her child?
Yes, sir, she did. She said her ex. She think that her ex might have took the child. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she said that was the child's father, I think.
Okay. So she said the child's father might have taken it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as the senior man on scene, you were the senior man initially, right?
Yes, sir.
Once you've gotten this initial story, what do you then shift gears into doing?
Well, we shifted gears and I asked her what was the last place she saw him. And she told me in the bed there. And then the front door, we assumed by him going out the front door. If he went out the front door, then it could have been the front yard. And then there was woods behind the house. And there was the roadway of Buckhalter Road, which passed in front of the house and went south. So you could south of the house and then north of the house.
Did you task out some officers to search the house itself?
Yes, I did, sir. While I was talking to her, I asked her, did they search the house and look for him? She said yes. So I said, well, we're going to search it again. So I sent 2 officers in the house.
Do you remember which 2?
I think it was Gormley and I think Jepsen.
Okay. And did they go do that?
Yes, sir.
And what was, you mentioned Daniel Voss was one of the initial officers there with you. What was his role?
He was talking to the lady.
Okay. Did you, at any point, did you call other officers out beyond the initial 4, you, Gormley, Jepsen, and Voss?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what did you want additional officers there for?
To aid in the search of the area. It was quite a big size area. And once they started arriving, I had officers check to the south of the residence, down to Veterans Parkway, and also had officers check to the north of the residence, up to Broad Avenue.
Now, you had officers canvassing the area looking for the boy himself, right?
Yes, sir.
And what else did you have them go out and look for?
I advised them to check the residence as they was checking the area, see if there was any cameras. on the
Okay,
houses.
like Ring doorbell cameras and
Yes, sir.
things like that? So you had people out doing that?
Yes, sir.
And did you also have them canvassing for witnesses, potential people who might have seen the child either on his own or with somebody else?
Yes, we told them to knock on the doors and try to make contact with the people that lived there, see if they knew anything.
So initial effort focuses on searching the house and searching the general area around the house, if I'm understanding you. Did you yourself personally search any particular area?
I did.
And can you tell us about that?
While I was standing just inside the gate, the backyard area, there was a open shed to the right. It had an RV. We walked over in that area, me and another officer, and checked it. And we left there and went. There was a shop directly behind the house. We checked that area, but it was locked up. We inquired about a key, but they said there was, the gentleman who had the key to it wasn't there. So we searched around it, looked at behind the stuff that was there. Nothing.
Okay. So you weren't able to get into the RV initially because of lack of a key?
Correct.
Okay. Did the officers that showed up to help with the search efforts, where did they come from?
There was other officers that was assigned to my team that day.
Okay. The same beat 7 or different beats?
No, sir. They was from beat 8 and beat 9.
Okay. And those are other patrol areas in the West Chatham area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have other officers kind of flooding in from other places to help out?
Yes, sir. When you have a missing child, you call everybody over.
Okay.
Make sure y'all before he got logged up yesterday. He talked to
I
that.
woke up about 7 o'clock and my husband was working about 6, so between a 3-hour period, somehow the front door is unlocked and my son is not in his playpen.
I've stopped the playback at 9:54:45 on the timestamp in the top right corner. Now, Sergeant Stewart, that timestamp in the top right corner of the frame, does that reflect the time of day it is?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a little bit about the defendant's demeanor, okay? I want to go back to when you first got there,
Yes, sir.
all right? Have you responded to missing children calls before?
Yes, sir.
About how many do you think you've responded to, if you had to estimate?
You want a number? I can't tell you the
Rough
number.
estimate.
It's been quite a few, sir. Quite a few.
More than 10, less than 10?
Or more than 10.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to observe the demeanor of parents calling in that their child is missing and reaching out to the police for help?
Yes, sir.
What is it normally like?
Most of the time when we get to a residence where a child is missing, mother's upset. She's hysterical. She's crying. She's telling us, what are you standing here for? Talking to me? You should be out looking for my child. You're wasting time. And just, they're so hysterical, a lot of times you can't talk to them.
Was the defendant like that in this case?
No, sir.
Did you view her demeanor as consistent with that of other parents that you've spoken to in missing children cases?
No, sir, I did.
Okay. Let me go back to the first slide. I guess it's actually the second slide. Do you see this here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, does it look to you like the defendant is crying?
Looked like she's trying to cry.
Is that what it looked like to you that day at the time that she was trying to cry?
Yes, sir.
Did it appear to you that she was actually crying or no?
I mean, there was some, you could see there was some water on her face, but it wasn't like I told you, she wasn't hysterical. She wasn't crying, just crying out. When you saw big tears coming out of her.
Sergeant Stewart, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, Sergeant Stewart, you were one of the first ones to respond on the scene that day, correct?
Yes, sir, one of them.
All right. And I'm curious, you said you have 35 years worth of experience in law enforcement, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, in your 35 years of experience in law enforcement and you arrive on a scene of a crime, what's one of the first things you've been trained to do?
Go up and make contact with the complainant.
Okay. And then what next?
Talk to him, find out what's going on.
Okay. And then what next?
If I need to call in other resources, I do.
Okay. Now, in a case like this where there may have been an abduction that took place or transpired, especially from inside the home, would you secure the scene?
Yes, sir. That's what we had other officers to do that.
Well, we'll get back to that in a minute. So you had officers do that. Which officers were doing that exactly?
Let me see who I had out there. I had quite a few officers out there that day, sir. I know I had Jepsen was there after they had searched the house. He came down. And Gormley, he came down.
Okay.
And for you talking about securing the scene, the house?
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
isn't it normal routine that you secure the scene where there may be some forensic evidence for you to seize or look at?
That's correct.
Okay. And wouldn't securing that scene mean you prevent people from going in or out?
That's correct.
Okay. Wouldn't it also mean that when you send techs in to go ahead and secure or look or search or do something like that, they would actually be wearing gloves or have some sort of bodysuit on so they would not contaminate the scene?
Yes, sir. You talking about the officers that went in and searched
Talking
the house?
about all of the officers that were out there. It seemed like you had an ungodly amount of people out there that day.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. So you arrive on the scene at 9:54 that morning, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have an interaction. This is what we're looking at in this particular photograph, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, rather than your conclusion being what they put in front of this jury, wouldn't the actual video from that body-worn camera be a better indicator of what actually transpired?
Of what I saw?
Right. But that's not what Mr. Dean offered, was it? He offered your conclusion, correct?
He asked me what I thought.
Right. Sergeant Stewart, these are stills lifted from your body-worn camera from that day, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've reviewed the body-worn camera, right?
Yes, sir.
It's good video footage, right?
That's correct.
That's the best evidence of what actually transpired that day, was it not?
Yes, sir.
Objection, argument.
I don't think it's argumentative.
And you do have him on cross-examination. However, I think the point is you are asking the sergeant questions about technically best evidence.
I'll rephrase it, Judge. What actually transpired was recorded on your video, correct, Sergeant?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Dean asked you to state your conclusion about that, correct?
He asked me did I think about this and think I think.
Right. So, didn't play the video, did he?
No.
Okay. If you had to guess that day, how many people were out there from the time you got there at 9:45 or so till 12:45?
Quite a few people, sir.
A large number of people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, did you say it's an unusually large number of people?
No.
Okay. You said you've been doing this for 35 years. Look at picture 16.
Yes, sir.
Who made the determination to call out the public information officer?
I can't tell you that, sir. I don't know. I didn't request her.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
Okay. Is that something you would normally do?
No, sir.
Okay. And with regards to the rest of these pictures, over the course of the 3 hours you were there, is it safe to say that more and more and more and more people showed up?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And where did they focus their search at when they got there?
I don't know where they focused their search. I can tell you where I focused.
So
my
where did you
search.
focus your search?
My search was the wooded area behind the house, the roadway south of the residence, and the roadway north of the residence. All the houses around that area.
Okay. Now, what time did the media show up?
Don't know, sir. I didn't see the media.
How long were you there that day?
I was there for quite a while.
It's safe to say 6, 8, 9 hours easily.
At that house, I know it was more than 3 hours.
So you were at the house more than 3 hours.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You didn't call the media, did you?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. And that would not be something you would normally do either, would it?
No, sir.
Now, who was it that called the canine search dogs?
That was something that Lieutenant did.
All right.
Lieutenant Foster.
How many, and I'm just curious, Mr. Dean, how many missing child calls have you ever responded to?
Quite a few, sir. Over the time I've been.
10, 20,
I know it's been more than 10.
more than 10?
Yes, sir, it's been more than 10.
Less than 20?
I would think it's been more than 20. 'Cause
Been
I've
more than
here.
20?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you had any specialized training in that area or no?
Searching for children? What area are you talking about?
I would say missing children's investigations.
We've had classes on it.
A class on
Some
it?
classes, yes, sir.
Some classes on it? Okay. And how long ago was that?
We haven't had anything recent. It's been a while.
10 years?
I think it's less than that.
5 years?
I've
7
said
years?
I've said 5.
All right, now let's talk about when you originally got there. The people that were on scene when you got there was Daniel Youngkin, Paul Simon, Miss McCarta, and her daughter, correct? 4 adults.
Babysitter.
Excuse me?
The names you called last. Is that the babysitter?
The babysitter and her daughter.
Yes, sir.
So it's 4 adults that you saw when you got there.
Yes, I think it was 4.
Okay. And I have a question for you. What was the first question you asked when you got there?
I asked her what was going on. What was happening? What's going on?
Right. And what were you told?
She told me her child was missing.
Okay. And now you made a distinction here, so I'm going to ask a very specific question. Did you ask if she had an idea of who may have taken the child, or if she had an idea of any suspects?
Well, she kept saying somebody took my child. I said, do you have an idea who?
Right. So you asked that question, which is a normal question, right?
Yes, yes.
That's a normal question, right?
Yes, sir.
And she responded to that question, correct? So nothing unusual about that. That's
No.
a normal question you'd ask.
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Youngkin say anything to you?
He was saying something.
Objection.
I'm not asking what he said. I'm just asking if he said something to him. That's all.
You may proceed.
Right.
He
so,
was saying something.
Right. So Mr. Youngkin, you talked to him as well.
He was standing there when I was talking to the lady.
Right. So you were interacting with Mr. Youngkin, Miss McCarta, her daughter, and Miss Simon all at the same time. And they were all standing right there in front of each other, correct?
The babysitter was. I don't think she was there when I was talking to the lady.
So you
I don't
pulled them
think-
to the side?
No, it's just when I first walked in, I saw her boyfriend, and their little child.
Okay. So that picture, I guess, this right here is what you're describing, with the exception of we can't see the child, right?
Correct.
Right? Okay. So, and was it a few minutes later when it was the babysitter and the daughter and them as well, correct?
That's correct. And Officer Voss was talking to her. I wasn't talking to him again. I was standing back.
Okay.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Corporal Cody Jepsen. Work with the Chatham County Police Department right now.
And how long have you been with the Chatham County Police Department?
About over 6 years.
And what is your current assignment at the Chatham County PD?
Just basic routine patrol.
I'd like to draw your attention to October 5 of 2022, specifically the morning of that day, okay?
Yes, sir.
Were you working in Beat 7
Yes, sir.
Alpha Watch that day?
Yes, sir, I was.
And did you respond along with Sergeant Stewart, Officer Voss, and Officer Gormley to a missing child call at 535 Buckhalter Road?
Yes, sir.
Now, you guys didn't all arrive in the same vehicle, did you?
No, sir.
But did you all arrive at substantially the same time, like within a few seconds of each other?
Sergeant Stewart was on scene first, and then myself and Officer Voss arrived right around the same time, and then Officer Gormley came a short time after.
Now, were you present in the driveway for the defendant, Ms. Simon's initial statement to Sergeant Stewart about what was going on and why they had called the police?
I came in right around that time, yes, sir.
Okay. And did Sergeant Stewart task you out with looking in the house for the child?
Yes, sir, he did.
And did you do that?
I did.
Can you describe how that played out? What did you do?
After being tasked to just go look around the house, I went inside with permission from I believe the boyfriend at the time, or the brother, one of the two.
Up on the screen right now, it's states Exhibit 3, Slide 2. Is that in the orange reflective vest there, the gentleman who gave you permission to search the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I was in the backyard or back patio area. Asked permission to go inside the house, which he granted, and then after that, went in, and then basically on the first entry, just went through the downstairs area.
Okay. And did you find the child in the downstairs area?
No, sir.
Did you ever go back in the house and look anywhere else?
Yes.
And can you tell us about that, please?
When we went back in the second time with Officer Gormley, we conducted a downstairs and upstairs search through all the bedrooms, closets, just the basic go around the house.
Now, when you were looking in the house on these two different occasions that you were talking about, what were you looking for?
Just for any signs of the child, diapers, anything that would kind of lead us to, or sounds to lead us to where a child may be.
First and foremost, you were looking for the child. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir. Yep.
Okay. Now, at some point, did the fellow on the screen here in the orange reflective vest give you a picture of the child?
Yes, sir, he did.
And why was that?
Just out of basic necessity, so we can give out to other officers, the PIO for the department, just a basic description of what the individual looks like, basic appearance.
And you mentioned the PIO. Is that the public information officer?
Yes, sir.
And what would she do with a picture of a missing child?
I can't put it on social media for others to see.
See if anybody had seen it
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, shortly after your initial arrival, did you approach the defendant and ask her for a clothing description, what the child had been wearing the last time he had been seen?
Yes, sir.
And did she give one to you?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what she said?
It was a Sesame Street pajama top, and then I believe like a blue gym style shorts.
Okay. And did you have a body worn camera on that day?
I did.
And did it record that interaction?
Yes, sir.
And your other involvement at the scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you arrived initially and she approached Sergeant Stewart and gave this initial kind of blast of information.
Yep.
She said something to the effect of the door having been open, right?
Yep. Yes,
Did
sir.
you go and look at the front door to see what it looked like?
I did.
And at some point after doing that, did you go ask for her, the defendant, for some clarification on what the exact state of the door was at the time that she woke up and saw it open?
Yes, sir, I did.
And why did you go ask her for that clarification?
Just further knowledge, see if it was, really basically if it was kicked in, broken in, how was it opened, if it was locked, unlocked.
Did you see any of that stuff on the door frame, any damage or anything like that?
I did not, sir.
Okay.
Everything appeared as a door should be.
And other than those interactions with the defendant and searching through the house, what was the remainder of your involvement at the scene? What did it consist of?
So after the basic 15, 20 minutes there, did the two searches of the house. I was tasked to walk on to pretty much search around the wooded area. Can't remember the cardinal direction. Pretty much behind the property and the wood line there, going towards Veterans Parkway.
Okay. Did you find anything back there?
No, sir. No signs of any disturbance or evidence.
And were you eventually released by Sergeant Stewart or Lieutenant Foster to resume your normal patrol duties?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I marked as State's Exhibit 4, may I please?
Yes, Mr. Hilliard.
I've seen it, Judge.
Okay, so are you seeking to admit that?
Well, I need to lay a foundation.
Go ahead, please.
I've just handed you a disc marked as State's Exhibit 4. Does that disc contain your body-worn camera footage from that day?
Yes, sir.
And how do you know that's what's on it?
Reviewed the footage and then signed, initial, and dated.
And does the footage on that disc fairly and accurately depict the events that you were involved in at the scene that day?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear to have been altered or modified in any way?
No, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer this as State's Exhibit 4.
Objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
I'm going to publish just a couple of brief excerpts, Your Honor. The first will be on the timestamp in the top right corner of the file from 09:58 and 2 seconds. And I will note for the record when I stop the playback, this will be about 20 seconds.
What was your son last wearing?
He was wearing Sesame Street, like the jumper shirt, I'm wearing black shorts, red black gym shorts.
All right. So I think I asked you earlier about the clothing description, and I recall you saying blue shorts. Having watched that, do you want to
Yeah.
revise that answer?
Yeah, it was the red or black shorts.
Red.
I mean, I'm bad with colors just in general, but yeah, it was gym style shorts. So.
Okay. The next bit that I will publish is starting at 10:02:53. stop the playback at 10:03:14 per the timestamp. One moment, please, Your Honor. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Hilliard?
Officer Jepsen, how long were you on scene that day?
I don't know an actual full-time amount.
Just best guess.
I don't believe no more than an hour,
So you just out there for an hour?
give or take.
Okay. And again, but while you were there for that hour, you conducted 2 searches of the houses and at least 1 search of the wood line, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you said you searched in the house, did you go through the entire house?
Me and Gormley kind of broke it up. So I personally didn't go through the entire, every inch of the house. But he took a little bit, I took a little bit.
All right, what was the part you took then?
A little bit of the downstairs. I mean, it was a maze to begin with. So some of the downstairs, most of the downstairs, I'm not really too sure. And then a few bedrooms on the upstairs and closets.
All right, well, let's talk about the downstairs. The front door that you walk in is I guess that's the one that's facing Buckhalter Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you walk in, you immediately see the couch, the TV screen, and all that area, correct?
If you're walking in, you have the crib right next to the door. Then to the left, the couch, and the TV on the other side. Yes, sir.
All right. And if you walk further back into the house, does it go back around to another part of the house?
Yes, sir.
And does it come around to the back side of the house?
Eventually.
And how's that laid out? Is it a maze or?
Yeah, it was a complete maze on the inside. I know they're doing construction, so there was walls everywhere that kind of made you go left when you need to go right, kind of thing.
But let me ask you this. But I'm going to assume it's a normal house, right?
Yeah.
It has windows. And
Yes, sir.
The front door is not the only door, is it?
No, sir.
And was there another door?
The back door.
And where does that back door go to?
To the pool back patio area.
Okay. And was that back door unlocked or open?
It was the door. It was open. It was unlocked. Yes, sir.
Okay. And whenever you went and I guess worked your way through the downstairs, did you notice anything of any importance?
At the time, no, sir.
Any contraband?
No, sir.
Any weapons?
No, sir.
Okay. Any, I guess, biological material?
I didn't see any, sir.
Okay. So, and you went through and searched the house twice, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you go upstairs and search as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I assume you went outside and searched the outside areas as well, correct?
Yes, sir. In the wood line.
And were you the only one searching, or were there other people searching too?
There's a few of us. Are you talking about inside or outside?
Both.
Yeah, I know me and Gormley did the inside. I can't say if anyone else came in looking after us. And then on the back, there's several officers looking through the wood line.
Okay. And again, I know you're only there for a short time, but I'm just talking about what you saw. But there were a number of officers searching both inside and outside, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And is it safe to say that over that period of time, as time wore on, more people came, or?
Yeah, more people. Officers came, yeah.
So the numbers of people walking around doing the searching and in and out of the scene increased over the time you were there, not decreased?
Correct.
And if you remember, and if you don't, that's fine too. Had the forensic tech showed up yet, or no?
No, sir.
Okay, so these were all officers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But not forensic technicians or people who are trained to collect evidence?
No, sir.
That's all the questions I got. Thank you, Officer Jepsen.
All right, I'm going to pause it there, and I will sift through the remainder of the 3 witnesses from day 1, as well as the coming days, and I'll do a much better recap on that by week's end. So, what are you guys thinking so far? Obviously, there's a lot of key witnesses that, have not come up at this point on day 1. I again, I like hearing all the officers, and I look forward to hearing, the forensics and all that sort of stuff that comes up. This is just all the beginning, from the time 911 call comes in and the big lie begins, as I'd say, lie lazy, which is what some of the people over on CLO call Leilani. But this is all very vital to this case, obviously every single piece, because you gotta have everything, all your ducks in a row. And I could tell what the defense is already doing just from the get-go. They're trying to show incompetence. They're trying to show that there's nothing there. Anything that they can to basically create doubt that not only is this monster mom guilty or not, for them, they want her to be not guilty, but to create doubt that she's guilty of murdering her sweet child, but that Chatham County fudged up everything. Basically, that's what I get out of where they're going at this point in the game, in the case. So, again, I don't think it's going to work, but at the same time, these, so far, my interpretation of these defense attorneys is they're definitely not playing softball here, and I do like the state prosecutor as well. So let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. Again, I apologize that I'm going to be super behind on this. I was hoping to get through all of the witnesses from day one at least, and then start doing more of a recap day 3, day 2, 3, 4, or 5, etc. So I'm probably going to have to do more recaps every, maybe a couple times a week, 3 times a week. I don't know. I think this trial is supposed to last like 3 weeks. I'm not exactly sure. I'll probably jump on Sarah Boone tomorrow. So if you are following both of these cases, get yourself ready, because they have the jury. It's not set yet. There hasn't been any real video in the courtroom. Tomorrow they're supposed to, I think they have like 54, if I'm not correct. I'm going by memory because I've been reading a lot of information on my breaks about both this case and Sarah Boone. And then we're not even talking about Delphi at this point. So it looks like they've got like 54, I believe, and they need to have 6 plus 4 alternates. So they're going to narrow down the jury tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and they're supposed to go through some motions. So I will definitely have something out tomorrow night on Sarah Boone, since there'll be a lot more, and there'll be a lot of video as far as that's concerned, I would assume, especially for the motions portion. But yeah, I'm hearing that they have those 54. So let's see how hard it is. I'm hearing some interesting comments come out on Twitter or X. I hate calling it X. I don't know about you guys, but on that social platform, which seems to be the biggest for that, and of course, some of the other creators have started to cover it. But there's really not any video, and there's not a whole lot coming out of it except for those that are in the courtroom and just reporting that the jury is being selected. So it's kind of hard to report on that anyway. So, all right, guys, I do appreciate you guys. I really, really do. And let me know if there's anything specific on on the justice for Quinton that you want to hear about. I will definitely end up including every single bit of the babysitter. I'm sure Billy Joe will be up there. Those folks will be no editing even possible, and all of their testimony will end up, definitely I'll be going through all that. But with that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.